Charlie Agar with Charlie Bee Company here. This is my favorite time of year here in the bee yard. This is when the bees pay their rent. This is when we harvest honey. We're going to collect our honey. We're going to rob the hives. That's the old term for it. Robbing the hives. We're going to take some honey. And when I say take honey, I mean we can only take a portion of it. We don't want to be greedy. What we're really taking is a surplus. We've been encouraging these bees to overproduce for a while here, and this is the fruits of our labor here. In Texas, we harvest mid-July. Our honey season's from April till mid-July. Up north, the honey season's longer, but the winter's also longer. But up north, they do a deep and a deep, right? They call it a double deep. Here in Texas, I do what's called a story and a half, a deep and a medium. I find that that's all that the bees really need to overwinter. You can't go and just willy-nilly pull honey. You really have to plan for a honey harvest. So this is for the bees to keep. We don't take from this. Remember, you're not going to get honey your first season right after you buy a nuke. It takes a while for the bees to build up. It takes a while for the beekeeper to learn. And you really typically don't get into honey until your second or third year. But when they get big enough and strong enough, and it's the right time of year, like April, May, here in Texas, we add a third box called a honey super. And super just means above. It's like supersede or supernatural. A honey super is any third box you add that is designated just for honey. Now, some of you may have heard of this before. This is called a queen excluder, right? Queen excluder. For some reason, people often say extruder. I'm not sure. Extrude is a different term. But exclude means the queen cannot get through this. So a lot of beekeepers, once they get their deep and medium brood box all set, they'll add this queen excluder in between their brood chamber and honey so that the queen doesn't lay in it. I use queen excluders for all kinds of different things, particularly finding queens or dividing colonies, but I don't use queen excluders for honey production. The old boy who taught me said, hey, this is not a queen excluder, this is a honey excluder. The bees kind of have to squeeze through this to get to the honey, and so anything we do to slow them down isn't a benefit. So I don't use these. I use them for other things, but they're very useful, but not for honey production. So when we harvest, all we're going to do is just take it, right? There's all kinds of, you've heard of the flow hive, and flow hives work. It's a neat strategy for harvesting without actually taking frames out. But in reality, once you're in honey production, you've been beekeeping for a while, and this is your big day, and you'll find that honey extraction is not that difficult. The first step, of course, is just taking it. And what that means is we're going to smoke the bees a little bit. We're going to smoke the front of the hive. I'll put my veil on. I try to get away with no gloves quite often, not just to get attention on the internet, but I actually just, it's a pain in the butt to put gloves on all the time. So I like to keep bees without gloves whenever I can. I make it stung up here. So all I'm going to do is get into the top of this hive, and we're going to tear them apart. I got my hive tool. I've got a brush. This is about the only time of year that I actually use a bee brush to push bees around and knock bees off their honey. So, pretty busy little hive here. We're going to give them a little bit of smoke across the bow, right across the top. Say, hey, we're coming in. We're going to steal some of this. We might not take it all. We want to make sure it's good and capped before we take anything. Yeah, that looks pretty good, right? That's a beautiful frame of honey. So when we're harvesting, all we're doing is going to get the bees off the honey so that we can take it. So first thing I'll do is just shake them, right? And then it's actually helpful to have a friend sometimes so you can hand the frame to and kind of whisk it away. I use the brush to just get the bees off, and then I take it. I put it in my box here. And I'll go through each frame and do that in succession. Just go through, see what we got. Not much there, but we'll take it anyway. Because remember, anything they put in this box is part of our rent check. So we get to take it. I see a few beetles in here, actually. Not a big deal, but this hive looks great. Nice honey, nice cured. We could check it with the refractometer, see if it's cured enough, see if it's dehydrated enough. But we'll do that inside. So here I'm just getting the bees off, and we're going to go ahead and take these frames. That's it. We just take one frame at a time, then we whisk it away. The challenge becomes, of course, are we going to drag a few bees with us? Yes, we are. That's not the end of the world. If you get in the honey house and there's some few loose bees, you know, just open a window, let them out. We haven't had a great honey season here in Texas. We had a very dry early spring, and we've had our mesquite bloom a few times. There's a plant called whitebrush, so I'm seeing whitebrush out. So, like I said, anything in here is for us to take. So that's it. Now we just take the box inside. That's where mussels come in. We're gonna go ahead and extract this honey. Stay tuned for the next video.
For imperfect beekeepers everywhere, the Little Yellow Book of Bees is coming in September of 2025. Stay tuned.